So everyone's full of energy. No one's hungry. If you're feeling a little hungry, don't worry. Just become absorbed in Harikatha and all bodily demands and bodily concept of life, it would be dissolved. Shrishta manamapi Shachiputram Patra Swarupam Rupam Tasakvacha Muripurim Maturim Goshvaktim Radha Kundam Kirivaram Ahoradhika Madhuvasam Prakto Yasya Pratetu Kripaya Sri Guru Tamanatosmi Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namah Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya He Bhaktibhyat-chavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Bhaktya-vihina aparata-lakshe Chilpasta-kamarikarambamavadi Kripa-mahitam Shanam Prapanam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Govinda Damo Dhanamaraveti Govinda Damo Dhanamaraveti Govinda Damo Dhanamaraveti Govinda Damo Dhanamaraveti Hare Krishna Hare Radha Hare Govinda Namo Dharmadaveti Sham Sundar Shikanda Shekhar Smaraha Smurali Madana Radhikarasa Kamma Kripanidhe Swapriyat Charna King Kurin Kuru Tavevasmi Najivami Tvaya Vinha Iti Vikyaya Devi Tam Nayamam Charantikam. First of all, I have my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers thousands and thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, my supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asvatya Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma Nitya Pravishta Om Vishnupad Stoltarasta Sri Rupanugacharya Varya Sila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada and to all of us in Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. By the causes mercy of Sri Guran Gauranga, today we are celebrating the divine appearance of Sri Narasimha Bhagavan. Sri Narasimha Bhagavan ki jai! So, yesterday, in the course of describing Guru Tattva, we spoke some teachings of Narad Muni to Yudhishthira Maharaj, describing how to understand the creation. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we find a description of the process of creation in the second canto, in the third canto, in the 11th canto. It's repeated again and again. So the parts of Srimad Bhagavatam which are focusing on the creation, that there is the pradhan, unmanifest, the non-differentiated, material energy, but it's the Lord who enters into it and causes all forms to manifest, and therefore all forms are forms of the Supreme Lord of Paramatma. This illumination, these parts of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is called Adhyatma Deep, the lamp that removes the darkness of Maya and gives us an illumined vision. Then, the parts of Srimad Bhagavatam that describe the incarnations of the Supreme Lord, then those parts of Srimad Bhagavatam, they're compared to what?
The sun.
Yes, the blazing sun. So sun gives much more light than the lamp. And so today we're moving on to the blazing sun. How Srimad Bhagavatam is like the blazing sun. Because the pastime of creation is in that pastime of Paramatma, there are not so many qualities are manifest. The Paramatma's Leela is only the Shrishti and Shakshi. He creates and he observes. But he does not personally become involved. Now the Supreme Lord, Bhagavan, he does not become involved with the world. He doesn't interact with the gunas. His Swarup is Sachidananda, Swarup Shakti, and he only interacts with his Swarup Shakti. But because his devotees appear in this world, so the Lord also appears here to interact with his devotees. And incidentally, everyone else gets the great benefit of that. And then Srimad Bhagavatam becomes like the juicy fruit of the desire tree. That means the parts of Srimad Bhagavatam that directly describe the pastimes of Sri Krishna, and especially his Vrindavan Leela. So, Bhagavan means that Supreme Lord who is the Paripurna, is complete in 6 opulences. He has all Aishwarya, Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya. Aishwarya means the power to be the biggest and the smallest. Aishwarya, Viryasya. Virya means he has Achincha Shakti, inconceivable potencies. Yash. Yash means he has all fame. Someone will say he doesn't have all fame. I know some people, they're also famous. No, he doesn't have all the fame. No, he has all the fame. Why? Because fame is not the material fame of this world. His fame means Mangalmoy. Mangalmoy. That he's all auspicious. If you hear about the fame of a person in this world, it will not be auspicious. It will lead to a negative result. But if anyone is touched by the fame of the Supreme Lord, his life becomes transformed. So here Yash means Mangalmoy. And Viryasya, Sriya, and beauty. Beauty is the main quality of the Supreme Lord. Just as from your body the arms and legs come. So the body is Angi and the arms and legs are Angas, limbs. So in the same way, Sri is Angi. That is the main quality of the Supreme Lord, and all the other qualities are just the different limbs of beauty. And therefore, the supreme form of the Supreme Lord is Krishna, who is all attractive. He is the most beautiful. So, Sri, and then Jnana Vairagya, knowledge and detachment from the world. So, the forms of the Lord who have this to a great extent, Paripurna Rup. Those forms of the Lord are called Paravastu Rups. Rupa Goswami Pad describes in Sri Laghu Bhagavatamrita. The forms of the Lord who have these 6 qualities in Paripurna, to a great extent, complete extent, Paripurna. So those forms are called Paravastu Rupa. And those Paravastu Rupas, there are only 3 of them. Number 1, always number 1, Krishna. That second Paravastarup is Lord Ramachandra. And the third Paravastarup, this is an exclusive category. The third Paravastarup is Sri Narasimha Bhagwan Ki Jai. So Lord Narasimhadev is in a special category above other incarnations, along with Lord Ram and Krishna. But we can say that the qualities of Lord Ram somewhat exceed those of Lord Narasimhadev, and Sri Krishna exceeds everyone. So, Sri Shukadeva Goswami Pad, he has described the pastimes of Lord Narasimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But the question comes, what was his motive? What was his purpose in describing the pastimes of Lord Narasimhadev? There are so many Siddhantas in these pastimes that have to be assimilated, that have to be realized. 1st canto, 2nd canto, all the cantos up to the 9th canto, one is acquiring some components of realization, some aspects of the nature of the Supreme Lord that gradually qualify a person to understand Sri Krishna, because Krishna Leela is quite confusing and bewildering, because Krishna behaves in many ways which are even against Dharma. Apparently, it seems, but not really. So, the motivation behind speaking this pastime is this. In the 2nd canto, it's described that a Mahapurana has 10 lakshanas. Aptarsago visargascha, stanam poshnam utaya, manvantar ishanukata, nirodha mukti asraya. And ashray means the supreme shelter. That's Krishna himself. But dasamasya vishuddhyatam navanam hiyalakshanam. Vanayanti mahatmanaha shrutena artena chandasa. In order to isolate the glories of the 10th symptom of the Mahapurana, that is ashray, the shelter of everything, the glories of Krishna, in order to highlight that, then the other 9 symptoms of the Mahapurana are given. So because you can describe something directly, but also describing what something is not. Other characteristics, also bringing to focus the object of discussion. So the subject of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan. But the discussion of the other 9 symptoms gradually qualifies us and brings into focus the appreciation of Sri Krishna to the greatest degree. So the Varnayanti Mahatmana, the great souls, have described Krishna in this way, directly and indirectly. So of the other 9 symptoms of a Mahapurana, there's Visarga, Atrasaga, Visargascha. There's the primary creation, which is done by the Lord, the secondary creation of Lord Brahma. Atrasaga, Visargascha, Sthanam, Poshanam. The Sthanam, the position of the planetary systems, Poshanam, the mercy of the Lord. Utaya. Now this word Utaya, it means Uti. So the word Uti, Utaya Karma Vasana. The word Uti means Karma Vasana. Vasana means the deep impressions in our chitta, deep impressions in our subconscious mind, which have been created by our experiences, and how those deep impressions control our behavior. They actually become what is called swabhav. When we say someone has a good nature or a bad nature, we speak about it's their swabhav. But what is swabhav? Swabhav is the collection of impressions in the chitta, which are dictating how the soul who is in that particular body will behave. That is called swabhav. So, based on how we've behaved in previous lives, then in this life, we're born. And everyone has a different nature. Some people are more this way, some people are more that way. As you all know, in our experience in life, there's a great divergence. There's a great spectrum of different types of natures of people. And they all come from the karma vasana. Karma vasana. So the word for karma vasana is called uti. That's a synonym for karma vasana, uti. And so uti is one of the 10 symptoms or subject matters which are discussed in the Mahapurana. Now, in some acharyas in other sampradayas have said that the explanation of the 10 symptoms, it comes first one symptom in this canto, one symptom in this canto, one symptom in that canto, like this. But Jiva Goswami Pad said that's not a correct understanding. Though it is true that certain cantos focus on one or another of the 10 symptoms, like the 10th canto focuses on the 10th symptom, the Ashraya, Krishna himself. But still, in each canto, there's a mixture of different topics. It's just a question of some cantos emphasize one or the other, but it's not a strict divide. Exactly. So now Shukadev Goswami is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. He's come to the 7th canto, and the 7th canto will include a number of topics, but one of the main topics here is Uti, or Kamavasana. And why is that? Because if someone follows Dharma, if someone follows religion, then the result of that Dharma is Sat Karma Vasana. He gets the impressions that help him behave in an honest way, with integrity, according to worldly morality, and the result of that is he goes to Swargalok, he'll go to heaven. On the other hand, if someone has performed many adharmic activities in previous lives, this makes deep impressions in their consciousness called Asat Karma Vasana. Asat Karma Vasana. And the momentum of those impressions will tend to make that person uncontrollably be led into more impious activities, and he's going down towards Narak, towards hell. But, and here's the good news, if a person in some previous life, or before they were born, they have sadhu sangha, then sadhu sangha gives the sad bhakti vasana. Sad bhakti vasana. It makes an atmosphere in the subconscious mind of impressions that impel the person spontaneously, naturally, happily, without resistance, to fully engage in pure bhakti. And so the sad bhakti vasana, they lead to the tasting of bhakti rasa. So what we have here is, now this is going to be illustrated, this principle of Uti, of Srimad Bhagavatam, is going to be illustrated here, because Hiranyakashipu is what Srila Prabhupada used to call a rabid materialist. He's such a fanatical materialist. He's so much fixed. He knows about Atma Tattva. He can speak so much philosophy, but he's so fixed in his ways of trying to dominate and enjoy the material world and accrue reputation and power for himself, that he just can't stop himself. And so that must have been caused by a really profound samskar. And what was that profound samskar? When Jai and Vijay were on the gates of Vaikuntha, and the four Kumaras, who were great sages, great brahmanas, they cursed Jai and Vijay. So the anger of the brahmanas, if a person will upset a brahmin, or disturb a brahmin anyway, that's why it said if you steal from a brahmin, you go to hell for millions of lifetimes, and all these things are there. Don't disturb a brahmin, because the anger of a brahmin makes such a deep samskar, impression in the chitta, that one becomes completely demonic. And that is what is being illustrated here by the characteristics of Hiranyakashipu, Uti, the negative aspect of Uti. And on the other hand, though Prahlad Maharaj, he never met Narad. He never met Narad before he was born. But while he was still in the womb of his mother, Narad Muni was speaking Harikatha to his mother Kayadu. And though she would sometimes fall asleep, but Prahlad was in the room and he was hearing that. And so that sadhu sangha gave him the sad bhakti vasana, so that when he was born, he was just spontaneously and naturally attracted to the path of bhakti. And so this canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's an emphasis on Uti, the effects of samskars, impressions. So, in the first chapter of the 7th canto, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked a question to Shukadeva Goswami. And he said that, how is it that the Supreme Lord, he's, in the Shastra, he's described as equal to everyone. Samoham sarvabhuteshu nane dvestyosti na priya. Krishna said in Gita, I'm equal to everyone. I'm not, I don't have attachment to anyone, and I don't have aversion to anyone. So how is it that he appears in this world and takes the side of Indra and kills the demons? How is that possible? Because the Supreme Lord, he has a form of bliss. He's Sachidananda Vigraha. And so he doesn't have anything to gain by taking the side of Indra and the Devatas. He's already blissful. He is self-satisfied. So why would he pick sides? And because he has no material qualities, so he doesn't hate anyone. So please clarify this doubt I have. It seems that the Supreme Lord has two faults. What are they? Pakshapat dosh. First fault is called Pakshapat dosh. That means the defect of taking a paksha, taking one side over another. And the second defect that it seems may be there in the Lord is called Nirgrinya dosh, the defect of hatred or envy towards others, becoming hostile or inimical to someone. So, this discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is actually illustrated through the pastimes of Lord Nrsimhadev, is essential. Because when a person is a conditioned soul and they think about God, because their consciousness is in the stage of duality, they also project they do anthropomorphism. They project human-like qualities onto God. And that leads to things like praying for material benefits from God, or it leads to things that when two sides are going to war, then both sides are praying, oh, God is on our side, but he's not on their side. This kinds of mentality. Or sometimes it happens that a person is outwardly, they show so much devotion in their religion to God, and then something terrible happens and they say, God, why me? Why did you do this to me? God must hate me. And so when the mind is in the state of duality, then a person conceives of God of being duality, and then that God they're worshipping is actually not God, because God is transcendental. Their conception of God is such that it's like idolatry. They're worshipping a material idea in their own mind of God. And so they're worshipping something prakrit. So it's essential before a person gets to the 10th canto that all this type of dross, the filth of material contamination in regard to our conception of God, he has to be washed away. And that is what takes place here in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, two faults are not there with God. Pakshapat dosh, he doesn't take sides. And Nagrinya dosh, he does not have enmity towards anyone. So in answer to that question, Shukadev Goswami Pad said, O great king, you have asked a wonderful question. And the answer to that question lies in the astonishing activities of the Supreme Lord, hearing which one's bhakti increases and the pure devotees are glorified. So, Shukadeva Goswami's answer to this question, does the Supreme Lord take the side of the demigods over the demons? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So that means he's got Pakshapat dosh, right? Because the demigods are in Sattva gun, and the demons are in Radik gun, and the Rakshasas and Yakshas, they're in Tamagun. So if he's picking ones, that means that God is affected by the gunas because he's choosing the demigods over the demons. But God is nirgun. He has no discrimination. So Shukadeva Goswami describes a wonderful divine Siddhanta. He said that no, the Lord does not take any side. It is only apparent due to Kal. Kal means time. Now, the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, are in this material world always in competition with each other. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes when one guna goes up, the other two go down. Then when another one goes up, then the other two go down. Like that. But they cannot all rise at the same time. So the gunas are like this. So by the influence of Kal, time in the universe, as Sattva gun goes up, then the Devatas become prominent and powerful and they have victory over the demons. But when by Kal, Rajagun goes up, then the demons become powerful and they attain victory over the demigods. Now, who is empowering the gunas? Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate sasarat samacharam. It is the glance of the Supreme Lord that causes the gunas to begin to oscillate. And actually his glance is called Kal, his glance is called time. So time breaks the equilibrium of Pradhan and then the gunas begin to oscillate. And so the whole drama of this material world begins to take place. So it is the Supreme Lord who, by empowering the gunas, when Sattva gun begins to to become prominent, then the demigods are successful. But sometimes the demons, they take over heaven. Bali Maharaj invaded and took over heaven. Right? So if you say, well, the Supreme Lord always takes the side of the demigods, well, what happened then? So why didn't he protect them at that time? So the answer is this, that it is the Supreme Lord energy, Kal, that makes the superiority. Sometimes the demons become prominent, sometimes the demigods become prominent. But because Sattva gun is clear, when Sattva gun becomes prominent, then the Lord becomes visible. Just like in the churning of the ocean of the milk, then the Supreme Lord Ajit appeared. And he was on the side and he was churning along with the Devatas. So it looks like he took the Devatas' side. But the Supreme Lord is always just Kal. And if you have, the example is given, if you have a thermometer with mercury inside, so if the glass of the thermometer is clear, then you can see the mercury rising clearly. But if the glass of the thermometer were to be opaque or dark, then even though the mercury is rising, you would not be able to see it. And so, just as you can see through the clear glass of a thermometer, but you could not see if the thermometer had the dark glass. So in the same way, it is the Supreme Lord who is supporting through the gunas, the demigods. And it is also the Supreme Lord who through the gunas is supporting the demons. The only difference is that when he supports the demigods, because Sattva gun is prominent among them, he becomes visible. And so people are thinking, oh, he picks the side of the demigods. He doesn't pick the side of the demons. But actually, it's only his energy, Kal, and according to the oscillations of the gunas, one wins or another wins. But at the time when the demigods are winning, then the person sees, oh, the Lord is on their side. But he was actually present all the time, doing everything in every case. That is only like the clear glass. So in this way, Shukadeva Goswami, he removed this doubt from the mind of Parikshit Maharaj. Really, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee, so he doesn't have that doubt. But he's asking this question for us, so we don't become involved in this idea that God is personally interested in and functioning according to the gunas of this world, the fight between good and evil. The Supreme Lord is not involved in that fight between good and evil. That is dvandva, that is the illusion of the material world. That's a big distraction. Sometimes devotees can get lost in that. Oh, there's so many bad things, evil demons in the world. What can we do to counter them and everything? But now you've taken the mentality of Indra and the Devatas. But that duality, that illusion has come. Because Indra and other devatas, they want to enjoy the world. So when we have an enjoying spirit, then the mind becomes lost in the dualities. But the Supreme Lord is always beyond the dualities of good and bad, and the fighting between demons and demigods, which is taking place on higher planets or lower planets. Or sometimes the demons and demigods take birth among human beings, and so that friction, that struggle is playing out in this world in the form of so many wars and so on. So just as the Supreme Lord is transcendental, the Lord's devotees are also transcendental. And so their minds are absorbed in pure bhakti to Krishna and not involved in the dramas of the duality of material existence. There's a huge difference between Indra and the Devatas and Prahlad Maharaj. They cannot be compared in any way. So, now, someone might say, but we see that the Supreme Lord, he personally kills the demigods. So Shukadeva Goswami explained to him that, you know that the Supreme Lord, everything that he does, he's not against anyone and he's not for anyone in this world, but everything he does is for the benefit of everyone. And the Lord himself, he doesn't need to do anything. Na tasya karanam cha vidyate, na tatshamaschavya adikasta drishyate, parasya shakti vividaya suryate, swabhavika jnana balakriyacha. It is said that the Supreme Lord has nothing to do. Why? Parasya shakti vividaya suryate, because he has shaktis, and his shaktis can do everything without him just getting out of bed even. Right? Krishna doesn't have to get out of bed because his shaktis can do everything. So that means that if the Lord does do something, it was an expression of love for his devotee. Because even though he doesn't take sides here and there, but he reciprocates with everyone. So those who don't think of him and don't serve him, who are in the duality of the material world, he doesn't take sides. But if someone has bhakti, then he wants to reciprocate with that person. So the Supreme Lord's appearance as Lord Nrsimhadev or any other appearance, it's never because the demons and the demigods, that's never the reason. The reason is always the devotee. So in Padma Purana, Krishna has said that Mad bhaktanam vinodatam karomi vida kriya. In order to give joy and happiness to my devotees, I perform so many activities. Otherwise, there would be no need to do it. You would not go and do any work if your Shaktis could just do the work. Yeah? So, Krishna is like that. He doesn't have to do anything. But when he does something, you should know that he's only acting out of love for his pure devotees. And it's nothing to do with the dualities of the demons and demigods fighting in this world. So, in the third canto, we heard how Lord Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. And after the death of Hiranyaksha, then his mother, Diti, his wife, Rushabhanu, the wife of Hiranyaksha, and the ladies of the court, they were all surrounding his body and they were all crying and crying. So at that time, Hiranyakashipu, he came there and he began to speak to all of the family members. Well, why are you lamenting? Why are you lamenting? The soul is eternal, it cannot die. And he was a hero. He died fighting on the battlefield face to face with his enemy, so that's glorious. Everyone will die one day. And he has met with a glorious death. So you should not lament for anything. So then Hiranyakashipu, he spoke a very beautiful Siddhanta. He said, Evam guna brahmyamane manes afikala puman yati tat samyatam badre hyalingo lingavan iva. He said that Puman, Purush, that is Atma, the soul, is avikala. He's unchanging. The soul is transcendental. But when the gunas move, evam guna brahmyamane, when the three gunas move in his mind, then at that time, tat samyatam badre hyalingo lingavan hiva. He identifies with the movements of the gunas in his mind. So this point has been echoed by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras. In the Yoga Sutras, it is stated that yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga means restraining the oscillations, the modifications of the chitta. And if one has a very peaceful, calm mind, then what happens? Tada swarupe vasthanam. Then one becomes aware, I am a spirit soul. But vritti sarupram itaratya. If the mind is oscillating, then the soul identifies with whatever oscillations are there in the mind. So this is what Hiranyakashipu was saying to the family of the deceased Hiranyaksha. Yati tat samyatam badre. The soul who is eternal and transcendental, tat samyatam, thinks, I am whatever is going on in my mind. If you're thinking, I'm in a good mood, I'm in a bad mood. All of this is just like weather. The weather within. Just as the weather outside changes, it's hot, it's cold, it's rainy, it's snowing, like that. By the movement of the gunas, our internal climate is changing. But we think, this is me. I am in a good mood, I am in a bad mood. I am dissatisfied. But none of this is real. None of this is real. So, Hiranyakashipu is saying, Yati tat samyatam badre. The soul who is transcendental, when his mind is moved by the gunas, then he thinks, this is me, and hyalingo lingavan iva. Even though he's aling. Aling means the soul actually has no relation with the subtle body. The soul has no relation with the mind. But lingavan iva, he feels as if he's lingavan. Van means possessor. He's the possessor of a mind. So our soul has no relation with the mind. That's why we chant mantra, to transcend the limitations of the mind and become situated in our swarupa as Krishna's servants. So Hiranyakashipu was speaking this good tattva about Atma tattva and the nature of the mind. But still they could not understand. So then he began to tell them a story. He said, once in ancient history, there was a king named Suyagya. So Suyagya was the king of the Ushinara province. And he went to battle, but in that particular battle, he was killed. And so his soldiers his soldiers brought him back to his palace. And all the wives, Hiranyakashipu is telling this to calm the widows of Hiranyaksha. He said, and the wives and family members were surrounding his body and they saw him. He was covered in blood. His limbs were broken. He died in an angry mood, so he still had the expression on his face. He was biting his lips like this. And they saw him, and all the queens were crying, and they were holding his feet, and they were beating their breasts. Alas, alas, now we cannot live. The grip of emotion, the drama of life, so captivating. They're so absorbed in that. Oh, alas, alas, now we cannot live. And their cries were so pitiful, so disturbing, that the Yamaraj himself came there. Yamaraj couldn't send a messenger. Why? Because someone in that crowd of the king Suyagya, some of those ladies were devotees. And if someone is a devotee, the messengers of Yamaraj, they have a restraining order. They can't. The messengers of Yamaraj, they cannot go anywhere near the pure devotees. So because of that, Yamaraj himself had to go there. So Yamaraj, he took the form of a small boy, because he was thinking, if a very young person speaks elevated philosophy, it's astonishing, and everyone, it will be captivating to everyone. So Yamaraj took the form of a young boy, and he was there. The little boy was pushing his way through the crowd and saying, oh, why is everyone crying? Why is everyone crying? So they said, oh, little boy, don't you know the king is dead. So then the boy came through the crowd and he looked and he saw the dead body of the king. And he said, no, you lied to me. You said, the king has gone, but he hasn't gone, he's right here. So then the family member said, no. This is his body. The king has actually gone. So then the boy said, well, if this what we're seeing now is not the king, then who is this king you're talking about? Then they said, oh, that is the soul. So then the boy said, have you ever seen the soul? What color is it? What shape is it? They all said, no one has ever seen the soul. So then the boy said, every day, thousands and thousands of souls are leaving that you've also never seen, but you don't cry over them. Why are you crying over this one? So hearing him speaking these words, gradually everyone was becoming sober. So then the boy said, let's all cry as loud as we can, because if we all cry loudly, perhaps it will bring him back. And they said, no, it doesn't matter how loud we cry, he'll never come back. And the boy said, then why are you crying? So Hiranyakashipu was telling this story of how Yamaraj came to the funeral ceremony of the Suyagya. And then he told them another story. He said once there was a male and female bird, husband and wife, living in a tree with their nest, and they had some chicks. They had their family. And so one day a hunter came and he sprinkled some rice on the ground in a place where his net was set up. And so then the female bird, the wife, said to her husband, oh, look, that's some delicious rice just lying right there in the forest. Let's go and eat. Husband said, no, wait. You don't have delicious rice just lying in the middle of the forest like this. His wife said, oh, you men, you're all so suspicious. And she flew down from the branch and she went to eat the rice. And just then the net of the hunter fell on top of her and she was trapped. And then the male bird came down and he was outside the net. She was inside the net and he was struggling. He couldn't get her out. And they were looking into each other's eyes. The male bird was saying, how can I live without you? Who will raise the children? And just then, as he was there lamenting, then the hunter came and he shot the male bird. And so in this way, Hiranyakashipu said to all the family members of Hiranyaksha, he said, oh, you are passing your time now, crying, but you don't see that the hunter of your own death is pointing the arrow at you next. So don't waste your life in this. And then everyone became sober. And then Hiranyakashipu performed all the funeral rites for his brother. Now, one of the main characteristics of a demon is hypocrisy. So even though he said, oh, the soul is eternal, don't become involved in these things, everyone be peaceful, he went away and thought, I'm going to get that Vishnu. I have heard, and it's true, that in the past, Vishnu was equipoised, he didn't take sides, but now he's become like an animal. He's become like an animal and he's taken sides and he has killed my brother. So now I will exact my revenge. And Hiranyakashipu, he made a plan how to become powerful and attain the powers so that he could fight with Vishnu and defeat him. So then Hiranyakashipu, he left his kingdom in the low planets and he went to the valley of Mandara mountain. And there in the valley of Mandara mountain, he stood on the tips of his toes with his arms in the air for the 100 celestial years. So he was doing such intense austerity without moving, without eating, without sleeping, without drinking, without, even after some time, without breathing. That the ants came and they built an anthill around his body. And the ants gradually ate all of his flesh until only his bones were standing there. And his pran was circulating within the bones. Don't try this at home. This is not possible in Kali Yuga, but in Satyuga it was possible that you could even do austerity up to the point of having no flesh and the pran would move in the bones. And his austerity was so intense that the heat of his austerity was coming from the top of his head. And flames were emanating from the top of his head, and they were heating up the whole universe. So at that time, all the demigods in the heavenly planets, they were having a heat wave. They were choking, they could hardly breathe due to the disturbance of the hard austerities of Hiranyakashipu. So at that time, all the devatas prayed to Lord Brahma, please save us, please save us. So then Lord Brahma took it upon himself he got on the back of his Hamsa Vahan, his swan carrier, and he flew to the valley of the Mandara mountain. And there he landed, and he came down, and he took his Kamandalu, and from his Kamandalu he sprinkled the water onto the skeleton of Hiranyakashipu. And when he sprinkled the water onto him, then his whole body was regenerated. He was fully rejuvenated into a golden, healthy, handsome, powerful demon body. And the Hiranyakashipu, he broke out from the anthill and the plants which had overgrown over him, and he was in ecstasy, with tears in his eyes and hair standing on end and body trembling. He thought, yes, now I'm successful. And he gave Dandavat Pranam to Lord Brahma. So then Lord Brahma, he said, oh, you have performed such great austerities. I have come here to grant you the benedictions. You can ask from me what benedictions you want. And Hiranyakashipu said, give me immortality. Give me immortality. It's a very popular theme these days, right? Everyone's trying to become immortal by transhumanism. They say, oh, I'll just freeze my brain, and then later when the technology comes, I'll upload my thoughts to the cloud. And then I'll live forever. And then when they get sufficiently powerful robots, then my thoughts on the cloud will control a robotic body or a holographic body, and then I can live forever. So there are people who are really into this. They've spent billions and billions of dollars. And so this is the Hiranyakashipu's parampara. The attempt to have immortality in this world. And it's completely demonic. So he said, give me immortality. Lord Brahma said, I regret to inform you that this is not possible, because even myself, I am not immortal. Lord Brahma's life is 311 trillion years, which in the space of eternity is nothing. So I am not immortal, so I cannot give this benediction. You should ask for something else. So then Hiranyakashipu, he was like a lawyer, so then he tried to put together a contract that would be equal to the same thing, tantamount to immortality. Said, so give me the benediction that I cannot be killed in the day or the night. Tatastu. So be it. Give me this benediction that I cannot be killed inside my palace or outside my palace. Tatastu. Give me this benediction that I cannot be killed on the land or in the water or in the sky. Tatastu. Give me this benediction that I cannot be killed by any weapon. That I cannot be killed by any creature in the universe created by you. Give me the benediction that I cannot be killed by any human or animal or demigod, and not in any month, and not by the living or the dead. And Lord Brahma, he said, Tatastu, and fulfilled all those benedictions. And then Lord Brahma got on his swan and flew back to Brahmalok. So then Hiranyakashipu was convinced, now I am immortal. And he was ready to exact his vengeance on Vishnu for killing his brother and take over the universe. So at once Hiranyakashipu, he returned back to his kingdom and he began to terrorize the whole universe. He told the demons, you know that the demigods, the root of the demigods is Lord Vishnu. So I will kill Vishnu and then all the demigods will suffer. You should go to earth and you should kill brahmanas, you should kill cows. If there are any sacrifices going on, you should destroy the sacrifices. And Hiranyakashipu began to try to eradicate everything which is beautiful and good from the world. So then he got together with his army and he set off from the lower planets and he invaded heaven. At that time, Indra was sitting on his throne and he was enjoying his life. There was a musical performance going on. Some Gandharvas were playing music and some Apsaras were dancing. And Indra was enjoying life. But then the army of Hiranyakashipu arrived. Hiranyakashipu himself, as they're arriving, blew the conch. And then there was panic. It was a shock attack. The musicians, they just dropped their mridangas and kartals and venas and other instruments and they were scattered here and there. There was a chaos, but it was too late. Hiranyakashipu stormed into the palace with all of his demonic forces. Indra was trembling. Hiranyakashipu said, "Who are you?" He knows full well who he is, but it's part of the humiliation ritual. He said to Indra, "Who are you?" Indra said, "Devaraj." Devaraj, because it means king of the gods, Devaraj. Hiranyakashipu said, "Devaraj, what is that? What do you do? You play with bricks?" Deva means play, and Raj means what is made from clay. You're Devaraj? What is that? You play with bricks? Indra said, no. Then what do you do? Indra said, I make it rain. Hiranyakashipu said, no, you don't. The rain comes from Rajagun, from the mode of passion. Tell me, what do you do? This is demonic mentality. Indra said, oh, Your Majesty, I do whatever you want me to do, sir. Was threatening like this. So then Hiranyakashipu said, oh, pick up that drum. Pick up that mridanga. You played this mridanga. Hey, who are you? Chandrama. The moon god said, I'm Chandrama, the moon god. And what do you do? He learned his lesson. He said, I do whatever you command me to do, sir. He said, you pick up those cartels. Like this, the Hiranyakashipu took over heaven, and one by one he made all the demigods become his slaves and servants in his kingdom. So then, at that time, all the demigods, they became in a great depression. And so they prayed to the Supreme Lord. And there was an Akashvani, a voice in the sky. They did not see him. Supreme Lord is Adokshach, beyond the senses. But they heard the voice say, when Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlad, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, then I will immediately kill Hiranyakashipu, regardless of all the benedictions of Lord Brahma. So then the demigods, though they were being terrorized and controlled, they felt, oh, there's some light at the end of the tunnel. The Supreme Lord, at some point, he'll save us. Now, that voice had said he would come to protect Prahlad. Who is Prahlad? Hiranyakashipu had 4 sons. And of the 4 sons, the most qualified, that was Prahlad Maharaj. Though he was only 5 years old, he was not interested in playing at all. He was not interested in the world at all. In fact, his avesh, his absorption in Krishna was so dense that the activities of the world could not even impinge. They could not even enter into his consciousness. Prahlad was so absorbed in Krishna Nam and Krishna Roop and Gun and Leela that he wasn't aware of whether it was day or night. He wasn't aware of whether he was sitting or standing or walk his body that everyone could see in the world of intersubjective verification, that body that everyone could see, walking, talking, sitting, lying down, sleeping, he wasn't aware of anything. His avesh was so deep. Our Gurudev, he used to say, don't try to become like the gopis. The gopis. Try to first become like Prahlad Maharaj. And then like the Prahlad Maharaj. And then like Ambarish Maharaj. Then like Hanuman. Then like the Pandavas. Then like Uddhav. And then understand bhakti very systematically. Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, he used to say, you should read the Prahlad Charitra at least 108 times. And he himself gave more than 108 lectures on the pastimes of Prahlad Maharaj. When we say Bhakta Parvar, the best of devotees, Prahlad Maharaj, what does it mean? It means this. Prahlad Maharaj's avesh in Krishna was so deep, he wasn't even aware whether he was standing, sitting, walking, talking, eating, or sleeping. Sometimes he would be sitting and crying. Oh, Krishna, where are you? Krishna, where are you? And then suddenly he would see Krishna appear in the distance and say, oh, Prahlad, why are you crying? I cannot find any happiness without you. And then the Lord would run to him and touch him. And Prahlad was sitting there and his hairs were standing on end. And he felt so much joy that the Lord had appeared to him and was embracing him. He would jump up and begin dancing. Sometimes he had so many Sanchari bhavs. One Sanchari bhav is called Unmad. And the symptom of the Sanchari bhav called Unmad is that the person becomes so absorbed in the Lord that he begins to imitate the Lord's own pastimes. So sometimes Prahlad would behave like a Krishna, or behave like Lord Ram, or Lord Narayan in different incarnations. He was so completely absorbed. So Shukadev Goswami says that Krishna graha grahitva, just as a person who is under the control of a graha, that graha grass, they're possessed by a planet. So in the same way, Prahlad Maharaj was possessed by love for Shri Krishna. Shukadev Goswami also describes Prahlad Maharaj as Govinda Pararambita. Internally, he was experiencing the embrace of Govinda. So Prahlad Maharaj was just like a child. If a baby is only 1 year old, then that child is in the lap of the mother. And the mother is carrying the child everywhere. And the child is just peaceful and happy and not really knowing what's going on around, because all the responsibility is taken by the mother. So Prahlad Maharaj is called Govinda Parirambita, always embraced by Krishna, in such a way that he was experiencing the joy of Krishna and the embrace of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, sometimes meeting and sometimes separation. That as a helpless child is not aware of what's going on around them. Prahlad Maharaj was exactly like that. So what kind of exalted personality is Prahlad Maharaj? So after some time, Hiranyakashipu put Prahlad Maharaj in school. And he had to study with the other little demons in the school of Sanda and Amarka, the sons of Shuka Acharya, Hiranyakashipu's own guru, Shuka Acharya. So one day, Hiranyakashipu, he saw Prahlad returning from school. And he saw his son, he said, oh, my son, come here. And with great love, he took Prahlad in his lap and he sniffed his head, the sign of Vatsalya, parental love, and he had tears in his eyes even. He was so full of pride. Oh, my son, he's a chip off the old block. The father sees himself in his own son. It's like another way of trying to become immortal. So then, Hiranyakashipu, with great pride, he said, oh, please tell me, what's the best thing you have learned? Tell me the best thing you have learned. So then Prahlad Maharaj, very simple way, without any fear, he said, Tat sadhu manye asurvarya dehinam sada samudvigya dhyama satgrahat hitvatma patam griyamanda kupam banam gato yad harima shrayeta. So, what does it mean? He said, Tat sadhu manye. I think that this is the sadhu, this is the best thing. I consider this is the best thing. That Asurya Varya, king of the demons, Dehinam Sada Samudvigana, those persons, those souls who have accepted a body in this material world, Asatgraha, Sadgrahat, and they accept for their enjoyment the sense objects of this world, then sada samudvigna, at every moment they experience defeat, they experience embarrassment, confirmed. At every moment misery comes, suffering comes, embarrassment comes. And so the best knowledge is this, that such persons, hitvatmapatam griyamandakupam, such persons should leave the dark well of materialistic household life. Banam gato yad harimasreta, and go to the forest. That means Banam, that means Vrindavanam. They should leave the dark well of mature life and go to Vrindavan, Harimasreta, and there take shelter of the lotus feet of Hari. So when Hiranyakashipu heard this, he was in shock, because Hari is the very person he performed his austerities to kill. His enemy who had killed his brother. And now my own son is saying, leave everything and go and serve that Hari. So he was amazed. And he thought, this can't be the fault of my child. Somehow or other he must have fallen into bad association. And so he looked up and he looked at the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj. He said, you take him and guard him. Make sure that no Vaishnavas, no followers of Vishnu can come into the palace and give him the bad association and change his mind. Because someone must have influenced him. Find out who influenced him. So then Sanda and Amarka, they took Prahlad away and they spoke to him very sweetly. Oh, Prahlad, dear child, I'll give you some sweets. Please tell us, how did you learn these things? From whom did you learn these things? You are not like the other children. You are different. You are not like those other children. So then Prahlad Maharaj, hearing them say, you have associated with the enemy. Who is that enemy? Someone in the palace is a double agent and has been trying to influence you. Tell us who it is. We'll give you some sweets. When Prahlad Maharaj saw this, he was amazed. He folded his hands. He said, I bow down at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, by the influence of whose Maya, the souls which are part and parcel of God, considers one person a friend and one person an enemy. I had heard about this before from Narad, the influence of Maya, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. These people are really in Maya. So I heard about this mentality, but now I'm seeing it with my own eyes. So then Prahlad Maharaj said, Yatha brahmatyo brahman swayam akarsha sannido tathame vidyate chas chakrapane yadritchaya. Just as iron spontaneously by its own nature is attracted to a magnet. So I am not different to others because of someone's association here. But rather, this is my nature. I'm spontaneously attracted to Supreme Lord. And so this is the illustration of Uti. Why is he spontaneously attracted? Because before he was born, he got the samskars from Sadhu Sangha. So he did not mention anything about Narad. He just said, this is my nature. I'm spontaneously attracted to the Lord. The Lord Vishnu is like a magnet and I am like iron. So there's no reason, there's no cause for my behavior other than this. When the teachers heard this, then Sanda and Amarka said to their servants, bring me a stick at once. And they brought a stick and they began to threaten Prahlad Maharaj. And then they intensified his education, teaching him all about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, all these things which are rejected from Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharmaha prajita kaitavatra paramoni matsaranam satam. The teachers said, oh, we have to punish this Prahlad because he's spoiling our reputation. We're trying to teach him good things like politics and economics. But he's talking about bhakti. He will spoil our reputation. This boy is like a thorn tree which has grown up in a forest of sandalwood trees. So he's thinking, oh, we demons, we're like sandalwood trees, very fragrant and valuable. And this boy is like a thorn tree. And so the specific quality of a thorn tree is that the wood is very hard and it's used as the handle of an axe. So then the lumberjack takes the wood from the thorn tree, makes an axe from it, and then cuts down all the sandalwood trees. So they were thinking, this is a very dangerous situation, and they began to intensify his materialistic education. So after some time they tried to deprogram him basically. Then Sanda and Amarka, they went to Hiranyakashipu and they reported to him, we have been educating Prahlad Maharaj in such an excellent way, and he's become very learned because Prahlad Maharaj was just going along with the classes, answering the questions. So they thought that he got over that childish phase of wanting to be a Hare Krishna. So then Sanda and Amarka, they came to Hiranyakashipu and said, we've done a very good job educating him. When you see him, then for sure you'll give us a bonus or a pay rise or some reward. So then his mother, Prahlad Maharaj's mother, bathed him and decorated him, put on a beautiful flower garland and sent him back to his father. So then Prahlad, he came into the royal court, and Hiranyakashipu lovingly picked up his son and sat him on his lap. And he said, oh, tell me, what is the best thing that you have learned? Prahlad Maharaj, completely fearless, he said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Satyam Atmanivedanam. Next verse. Iti pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktis Chennavalakshana Kriti Bhagavateda Tanmanye Ditam Uttamam. Tanmanye means I consider this to be Uttam, the highest thing. Manye Aditam. The best thing that I have learned. The implication of the word Adita, that I have learned it, indicates these are 9 angas of Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti. Because Raga Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, it awakens in the heart from the vision of Krishna's, the beauty and his associates, which arises from Harinam. So Raganuga Bhakti is not something that you learn. You cannot learn it. Oh, let's learn how to do Raganuga Bhakti. It doesn't work like that. It unfolds internally by the inner realization that comes by hearing Harikatha. So here, Tanmanye Aditam Uttamam, this is what I have learned, indicates these are 9 angas of Vaidhi Bhakti. Hearing, chanting, remembering, the Pada Sevanam, offering prayers, becoming the servant, becoming the friend, and surrendering everything. So, Iti Pumsapita Vishnu, one who offers himself fully to Vishnu. And here that means Vishnu in his form of Guru. Guru is non different from the Supreme Lord. The person who offers himself fully to the Supreme Lord in the form of Guru and then engages in these 9 angas of bhakti, I consider him to have received the most elevated knowledge. His education is perfect. His education is complete. He's the most learned person. So the most important point here is Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu, one who surrenders first and then hears and chants. Because if a person isn't surrendered, then his hearing, chanting, remembering remains on the material platform. It's not actually pure bhakti, it is an imitation of bhakti. It is like a drama. But if a person has actually given their life and soul fully to Shri Guru, and every breath, every step, every activity of the body, mind and words is serving Guru and the mission of Shri Guru, then when a person engages in hearing and chanting, there will be the descent of Bhakti Shakti. Because Bhakti isn't something that you can just do with the senses, but rather Bhakti is the vilas of Swarup Shakti. It's the play of the internal potency, and it descends into the sense of hearing, into the eyes, into the tongue, only by kripa to those who are surrendered to Shri Guru. So when Hiranyakashipu heard this, then he became furious. And he looked towards Sanda and Amarka. He said, "You foolish brahmanas. Sometimes in life we have a friend who is a false friend. And just as a person who is sinful, after some times the sins appear in his body in the form of disease. So in the same way, false friends who show affection, gradually their envy and their hatred appears. And this is what we're seeing now. It's your fault." And Hiranyakashipu was blaming Sanda and Amarka for the behavior because he entrusted them to take care of him and educate Prahlad properly. And he blamed them. And now Sanda and Amarka were trembling. They thought, oh, today we thought we would get a pay rise and a promotion. We'd get some bonus from Hiranyakashipu, but now it looks like we're going to get a capital punishment. He'll kill us. So then, Sanda and Amarka, they said, "Oh, Your Majesty, Hiranyakashipu, whatever he said, he did not learn from us. We have not taught him this. This is he told us himself. This is just his natural tendency. So please give up your anger and don't find fault with us." So then Hiranyakashipu, he said to Prahlad Maharaj, "Oh, if you have not received this mentality from your teachers, then where did you get this mentality from?" So then Prahlad Maharaj said, "Matirna Krishnai parato swatova mito vipadyeta kriha pratanam adanta gobi vishatam tamishram puna punaschavita chavarnanam." He said that those who are grihaparata, that means they've made a vow to enjoy the worldly household life. And these verses spoken by Prahlad Maharaj, they're not aimed at Grihastha Vaishnavas. They're aimed at materialistic sense enjoyers who are enjoying the worldly life. Because Prahlad Maharaj, he's 5 now, but when he grows up, then he also gets married. Right? Otherwise, where does Bali Maharaj come from? Right? That's his grandson. So he said, those who have made a vow to enjoy the worldly household life, then their Krishna consciousness, it cannot be awakened by any effort. If one is not simple, if one is not straightforward, if one says, yes, I'm a devotee, but in the heart, one is thinking how to enjoy this world, then one's Krishna consciousness can never be awakened by one's own effort or the effort of someone else or a combination of both. Matirna Krishnai parato swatova mito vipadyeta griha pratanam. But what happens? Because such a person's senses are out of control, then they try to enjoy again and again, and they go vishatam tamishram, gradually into darker and darker regions of existence. Puna punaschavita chavananam, tasting, chewing what has already been chewed. So the implication here is that Srila Gurudev used to tell the story of there was a dog, and the dog found one bone, and the bone was old and dry, and there was really no taste in it. But the dog was thinking, maybe if I chew on it a bit more and suck, I can get some marrow, there'll be something tasty in this bone. So he started to chew on the bone, and in the meantime, a pack of dogs came along and said, hey, look, he's got a bone. And they all became envious of him. And he began to run away, but they chased him. And one dog was biting his leg, another dog was biting another leg, another dog was biting his tail, and he was suffering so much. And finally, he just opened his mouth and he dropped the bone on the ground. And then he sat down on the side of the road. Then another dog picked it up. And then he was trying to get some juice out of this bone. And then all the dogs were biting him. And so this was going on. So Gurudev said, this is the nature of material life, that we're trying to suck some pleasure out of a world which is dry. It never gives any true satisfaction or fulfillment to the soul. But if you try to get those things that everyone wants, then everyone will become envious of you and try to tear you down. They can kill you for your money or whatever, for your Rolex watch or whatever. So, and then everyone will fight. And the only way to get out of this intense competition and suffering, a competition over what? Over nothing. That is just let go of it. So then you should be like that dog on the side of the road. You just look at everyone fighting and thinking, oh, they're mad. So, Puna Punaschavita, that bone had been chewed again and again and again, but no one experienced any happiness from it. So in the same way, those who are in the materialistic consciousness, then they tell their children, oh my dear son, if you want to be happy, then you have to study hard, and then you have to get your degree and your PhD, and then you have to work for a Fortune 500 company, and then you'll have to put all your investments in a 401k, and then you can be happy like me. And then the person goes to the cupboard and takes out their antidepressant pills. Like that. So people are struggling, they're suffering in this world, but they give the same advice to the next generation, that they can continue in this cycle of suffering and suffering. So this is called punaha punascharvita chavananam. Sri Radha Govinda. So Vishwanath Thakur, he said, even if a person is doing Vedic yagyas, and by the strength of those Vedic yagyas, in his next life, he goes up to heaven. And he's enjoying there in heaven with all the apsaras, famous apsaras like Menaka and Ramba and Urvashi. After some time, his good karma runs out and he comes back down again. And so Vishwanath Thakur said, what's the point of this karma kanda yagyas and going to heaven? He said that Swargalok is like a brothel. Just like in a brothel, so many clients are coming one after another and meeting with the prostitutes there, and then they leave, and then another one comes. So in the same way, those who are in this world doing the karmakanda yagyas, they go up, they enjoy with Menika and Urvashi, and who've been enjoyed by so many other persons who did yagyas before, and they fall down. There's a constant flow of clients and customers in the brothel of Swargalok. So this is Srila Vishwanath Thakur's comments. Puna punascharvita chavanana. Everyone's trying to taste which has already been tasted. But in the end, it never gives any fulfillment or permanent happiness to the soul. So then, when Prahlad Maharaj spoke these words, then Hiranyakashipu said, you fool, you are criticizing me, your father. My lotus feet are worshipped by Indra and all the demigods. Do you think that your teachers, the great sons of Shukra Acharya, my guru, don't understand the real meaning of the scriptures? So then Prahlad Maharaj said, Na te vidu swartagatim hi vishnum durashariye bahir atamanina andaya tanda upagiyamanastam pisha tantram urudam nibadha. Durashaya, those whose ashai, that means the chitta, the inner region of the heart is dur. It has very, the impressions of sense gratification. So such persons, bahir artamanina, they think that the external objects that we can perceive are the artha, they have value. This is the basic materialistic mentality, that the outer things that we conceive of, these are valuable things, they're worth chasing after. So durasha yeba artimanana, and because of that, na te vidu swartha gatim hi vishnum, they don't understand their real swart. Swart means swartha, their own self-benefit. Usually this word is used in Sanskrit and Hindi and Bengali. Swartha, it's the same word. It means selfishness. So, oh, this person is swarti, they're selfish. But swarta, selfishness, first we have to know who the self is. And so the real self-interest is not the body, mind and senses, but na te vidu swarta gatim hi Vishnum. The real self-interest of everyone lies in Vishnu, the Supreme Lord. So those who accept external things to be valuable, they don't know where their true self-interest lies. And then what happens? Andarya yatanda upagiyamana. They are like a blind persons leading the blind. That means Shanda and Amarka and Shukracharya, they're teaching Karmakanda Yagyas and so on to enjoy this world. But they're all blind, and the blind lead the blind, and being bound by ropes. Here, the ropes mean the vidhi, the rules and regulations of the Vedas. Actually, here the ropes are the rules and regulations of the Vedas which prescribe fruitive activities, the Karmakanda section of the Vedas. And so when the blind lead the blind, then what happens? One day there was a blind man, and he was sitting there and he heard the sound. Someone was moving with a stick. He said, "Who's there? Who's there?" And the voice came back to him. "Oh, it's me, Kamal Nayan." There was another blind man named Kamal Nayan, whose eyes are like a lotus. "And who are you?" He said, "Oh, I'm Divya Chakshu." The one with divine vision. So, "Oh, I'll join you." So then Divya Chakshu was following Kamal Nayan, and they were both walking along with their sticks. Then they heard a voice say, "Ah, who are you?" So, "It's me, Kamal Nayan. It's me, Divya Chakshu. Who are you?" Then the other voice said, "Oh, I'm Sarvadarshi." Sarvadarshi, that means the all-seeing one. So there's another blind man named Sarvadarshi. He said, "Oh, can I come with you?" "Yeah, come on, join us." And so the three of them were walking along. The Kamal Nayan was leading, and the Divya Chakshu was holding his cloth, and Sarvadarshi was holding the cloth of Divya Chakshu, and they were walking along. Then suddenly they heard, "Ah!" Divya Chakshu said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" Kamal said, "Yes, yes, I'm fine." And then Divya Chakshu, he fell, and then Sarvadarshi and all three blind persons following each other, they fell into the ditch. So this is the nature of material life. If we don't hear from a Tattvadarshi, if we don't hear about Shuddha Bhakti, Uttam Bhakti, Nishkinchan Bhakti, from a Bhakta Bhagavat, one who has vision, seeing, not only seeing this world, but seeing the divine realm, then we're just like a blind person following other blind persons, and without the anugatya from above, the descending process, the avaroha panta, then we must follow aroha panta, the ascending process of following the senses, and it leads into the disaster. So then Hiranyakashipu said, "Oh, so you're talking about this, some divine knowledge, can I also get this knowledge?" Prahlad Maharaj said, "Yes, of course. Everyone can get this knowledge, but there are some conditions." What are those conditions? Naisam matisthavada rukramangrin sprashattanata pagamayatata mahiyashans padirajobhishekam niskinchananam navrinita yavat. Unless and until a person will have the abhishek, they will take a shower, they will take bath and become saturated, immersed in the foot dust of the lotus feet of a Nishkinchan Vaishnava. A Vaishnava for whom his only possession is the lotus feet of Krishna. Unless one will have abhishek in the dust of the lotus feet of such a Vaishnava, then one's anarthas, they will not disappear. The attachment to the world, the misconceptions, the vikalpa, the non-correlated thought constructs, the oppression of dvandva, duality, the bhog, britti, the tendency to try to enjoy the sense objects, which is the symptom of maya dinata, being subjugated by the material energy, this will never ever go away without that abhishek. So that abhishek means to become immersed in the achar and the vichar, to follow the behavior and also the inner concepts, the inner the vichardhara, the current of the conception of Sri Guru. When one follows the achar and the vichar, of a pure Vaishnava, only then the anarthas begin to dissipate and one can attain realization of Sri Krishna. So then, Hiranyakashipu, he became furious and he threw Prahlad Maharaj from his lap. He was blinded with anger. And he told the gods, take him away and kill him. So then the soldiers came and they took Prahlad Maharaj to the top of a mountain and they threw him from the top of the mountain. And Prahlad Maharaj was just falling through the air. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
No panic at all. And Sri Krishna appeared and caught him and put him safely on the ground. So then they tried to throw Prahlad Maharaj under the feet of stampeding elephants. But the elephants, as they came close to him, it was as if they felt some electric shock and they all ran away in different directions. So then they put Prahlad Maharaj into a pit of poisonous snakes, but the snakes all became his friends. So then they thought, let's put him in prison and starve him to death. So then they put Prahlad Maharaj in a dungeon without any food. And after some time, Sri Krishna appeared there in the dungeon with a plate of his own remnants and gave the Mahaprasad to Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad Maharaj was taking prasadam, and the guards of the prison, they could hear. Mahaprasad Govinda Namah. And they thought, what is, and they looked. And then Prahlad Maharaj was laughing and he took the prasad and he threw it through the bars of the prison. He said, oh, take this prasadam. You'll be liberated. You'll be happy forever. And he threw prasadam at the guards. So then the guards, they tied him to a big stone and threw him into the ocean. But again, Krishna saved him. Then they gave him a cake that was filled with deadly poison. And he offered it to Krishna and it became nectar. Everything they tried. Hiranyakashipu was having a nervous breakdown. Why can't I kill him? If I can't kill him, then perhaps he might kill me. So then Hiranyakashipu's sister, Holika, she came and said, oh, my dear brother, you don't worry about anything. I have a plan. I have a benediction for Lord Brahma that I cannot be killed by fire. So make a big pyre and put a throne on top, and I will sit there and I'll say, oh, Prahlad, come and sit in the lap of your auntie Holika. And I'll hold him tightly, then you set fire to the pyre and Prahlad will be finished. So they followed that plan and Holika called, oh, my dear nephew, come and sit in the lap of your auntie Holika. And she held him tightly and they set fire to the pyre and the flames went very high into the sky. And after many hours, the flames died down and Holika was ash. And Prahlad was sitting there chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that Holika fire, that's the day before Gaurapanim. Holi is the next day, Gaurapanim is holy, so that's the day before. And in Braj, every year, we make a big bonfire and a big effigy of Holika and put on the fire and burn. So this is a pastime from the life of Prahlad Maharaj. But the Brajabasis also do this. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Krishna, Radharani, all the gopis, on the day before the Holi, they make a big Holika bonfire. And then the next day on Holi, they come out from the village and they give pranam to the place of the Holika fire before they begin the festivities of the holy pastime. So this has some connection with the Braja Rasa also. So then, again, the plan failed. Prahlad was still alive and Hiranyakashipu was getting desperate. So at that time, Sanda and Maka approached him and they said, oh, Your Majesty, Hiranyakashipu, don't be worried. You can control Indra. So what to speak of Prahlad? He's just a boy. He's a mosquito compared to Indra. So our father, Shukracharya, he's been away for some time, performing austerities and absorbed in meditation. But he'll come back soon. And when he returns, he will know exactly what to do because Shukracharya is very wise. So don't worry about that. So Sanda and Amarka, the word Shanda You know what Shanda means? It means a eunuch. A eunuch is impotent. They cannot impregnate anyone. And therefore, a teacher who is demonic, like Shanda, they can speak so many things, but they cannot awaken transcendental knowledge. Only a pure devotee who has realization is potent, that the mantra that he gives and the katha that he speaks can awaken our spiritual realization. So Shanda means an impotent eunuch. And Amarka means eclipse. The moon or the sun is very bright, but when the eclipse happens, then the brightness is covered. So the entire education given by Amarka is actually simply, it is not real education, it's darkness in the name of education that covers the real spiritual education. So then Sanda and Amarka, they took Prahlad back to the school and they continued to try to deprogram him and educate him in politics and duplicity, hypocrisy, and finance, economics, legal wranglings. So Prahlad was there in class and he was just blissfully remembering Shri Krishna. So one day, Sanda and Marka, it was time for the recess, for the break, and they tied up Prahlad Maharaj. And then they left to have their break. So in the meantime, the other children, they came and they untied him. Then Prahlad was thinking, oh, they have untied my bondage. I will now untie their bondage also. So Prahlad Maharaj's name is Prahlad. Prahlad means Prakrista, most excellent. Avadane, Prakrista Avadane Lad. That person who gives to others the greatest joy is called Prahlad. So then Prahlad, he made his plan to give the greatest joy to all the children. So Prahlad called all the children, come on, I have a great new game for you. They said, what is that game? He said, it's called Harinam Sankirtan. Yeah. The boy said, oh, that's for old people. That's just for old people. People who can't do anything else. Prahlad Maharaj said, no, not at all. Why? Kaumara acharet pragyo dharman bhagavataniha. Durlabam manasam janma tadapya dhruvam artadam. Prahlad Maharaj said, no, this is not true. This is called Bhagavad Dharma. The children said, but we are children. Children don't have to follow Varnashram Dharma. Prahlad Maharaj said, no. It's true that children don't have to follow Varnashram Dharma, but this is Bhagavad Dharma. It's different. Bhagavad Dharma can be practiced at any age, even from very young childhood. So, Kamara Acharet Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavataniya. This is Bhagavad Dharma, and you should do it. Don't wait until you become a youth. From very childhood, you can engage in this Harinam Sankirtan. Right, kids?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. So then, but then the children said, we just want to play. We can do that later. You can start this Bhagavad Dharma from youth. So Prahlad Maharaj said, no. Kamara Archarit Pragya. Pragya means a wise person will not waste any time because one may be a child. But death can come at any moment. Tadapya dhruvam artadam. The human life is adruva. It's not fixed. We cannot guarantee how long we will live for. And so we should take it up. So then some of the children said, we can do this in our next life. So then Prahlad Maharaj said, Durlabam manasam janma. Said, no, because this human form of life is very rare. And there's no guarantee that you can take birth as a human being in the next life. So we should practice bhakti right now. So then Prahlad Maharaj said, if you don't practice bhakti, what will happen? If you don't utilize your time properly, then if you see a human being lives for 100 years and half of 50 years are wasted sleeping, then the years of childhood are wasted just playing around. Then the last decade or so, or 2 decades even, from the age of 80 onwards, one is so old and inconvenienced by ill health that also you have no energy. And then for those few years in the middle, then a person is thinking, how can I get money? How can I support my family day and night? And they become the person becomes exactly like a silkworm. A silkworm is spinning around and they turn around and around until finally they're in a cocoon that they cannot get out. So in the same way, when the person, his mind is absorbed, oh, this is my wife, these are my children, I have to get this money, my house is so nice, oh, this furniture I inherited, this has been in my family since my grandmother. And so the mind becomes filled with the thoughts of the furniture and the cats and the dogs and the horses and the chickens. Prahlad Maharaj says, how can one forget the sweet loving wife who pleases him in a private place? And how can one give up the remembrance of the sweet chatter of the children? Oh Papa, oh Mama, Mama. It's impossible. And so then the soul, he becomes like the silkworm. His mind is completely wrapped up in all of these thoughts, and before he knows it, Yamaraj is knocking on the door, and it's game over. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj said, Kamar Acharit Pragyo, a wise person will engage in bhakti right from the beginning of life and not waste any time. So then the children said, but I think this bhakti is very difficult. Prahlad Maharaj said, no, it's easy. Guru Srusraya Bhaktya Savalabda Paninacha. The Sangena Sadhu Bhakthanam Ishvara Radhanenacha. It's easy to serve the Supreme Lord. Why? Because He's everywhere. You don't have to go very far to find Him because He's already in your heart. And He can easily be pleased. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Krishna said, if you offer me just a leaf, a fruit, a flower, or water with love, I will accept it. So one should practice bhakti how? Guru Susraya Bhaktya, by hearing from Sri Guru and serving the spiritual master. And Sangena Sadhu Bhaktanam, one should serve Guru in the association of Vaishnavas. Why? Because Guru will not speak about his own glories. But if we associate with other pure Vaishnavas, then those pure Vaishnavas, they teach us the glories of our Guru. So the Sadhu Sangha is also essential. And in this way, Ishvara Radhanena Cha, serving Sri Guru and in the company of pure Vaishnavas, one can engage in the Aradhana, the worship of the Supreme Lord. So Prahlad asked the boys, are you convinced? Are you ready? So then the boys said, yes, we're ready. What do we do? So then Prahlad Maharaj said, everyone clap your hands. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the sound of the kirtan spread all over the palace. The teachers came back from their break and they saw all the demonic children were dancing in kirtan. They thought, this is a complete disaster. First we had one problem child and now they're all problem children. The whole school has been ruined. So then Hiranyakashipu, he sent someone, go and tell the Prahlad to come here. All the boys said, oh Prahlad, we're so afraid. We don't want to go in front of your father. Prahlad Maharaj said, I'm not afraid. And all the boys came with Prahlad Maharaj, but when they got to the door of the palace, they waited outside. And Prahlad Maharaj came in to face the music. When he stood there in front of Hiranyakashipu said, oh, the time is just coming. Right now, the exact time. Hiranyakashipu said, oh, you impudent fool, you outcast, you embarrassment, you disruptor of the family, you have stubbornly violated my authority. Today I will send you to the abode of Yamaraj. Listen, You fool, when I am angry, when I just raise my eyebrow, then all the demigods in the three worlds, they tremble in fear. Where do you get the strength to violate my order? Prahlad Maharaj folded his hands. He said, oh, the place where you get your strength and I get my strength, and all moving and non-moving living entities from Lord Brahma down to the insects, they all get their strength from the same place, the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Give up your demonic nature and make your mind equal to all living beings. This is the definition of animal consciousness. What is animal consciousness? Prahlad Maharaj, we had to jump over so many teachings because time is running out. But Prahlad Maharaj, he said that animal consciousness is to not see that others are just like you. That's animal consciousness. We can take our pulse and see whether we have the consciousness of an animal or of a real human being. Because a pure human being, pure human consciousness realizes that actually I and you, we're all the same. We're all souls. Krishna said this in Bhagavad Gita. Atmo panyena sarvatra samyam pashyati sarjuna sukam va yadiva dukam sa yogi paramo mata. He said that if a person, by comparing himself to others, says, yes, we're the same. We're all the same. And on top of that, he feels that the pain, the happiness and the distress of others, that's actually my pain, my happiness and my distress. Then Krishna says, Sa yogi paramam, he's the best yogi. The yogi, he not only sees, I am equal. That's just, you're not an animal. But one who feels the happiness and distress of others to be his own happiness and distress, Sa yogi paramomata. He is the best yogi, Krishna said. So Prahlad Maharaj said, oh, give up your demonic nature. Make your mind equal to everyone. There are no enemies in this world. The only enemy is the uncontrolled mind. So, worship the unlimited Supreme Lord and your mind will become purified. And you'll attain the goal of life. Hiranyakashipu heard this, he became ferocious. You are boasting excessively. This is the sign that now you will die, because persons are about to die. The symptom is that they speak incoherently. So you are speaking incoherently and it forebodes your imminent death. Hiranyakashipu said, oh, unfortunate one, unfortunate Prahlad, you're always talking about some supremely powerful being other than me. But where is this being? Why is he here in this pillar? And Prahlad Maharaj looked, and Lord Nrsimhadev made a sporty. He manifested a vision to Prahlad Maharaj in the pillar, and he winked at Prahlad Maharaj. Like this. And seeing the winking face of Lord Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, he's in the pillar. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, this is such an epic moment, because the difference between the materialist and the spiritualist are perfectly contrasted here. The difference is this, it's called Drig Drishya Vichar. The materialist thinks, I am the seer, and whatever exists is the seen. I am Drik, the seer, and whatever exists is Drishya, seen by me. But the devotee thinks, no, I am Drishya, I am the seen. And the seer is God, and God is looking at me at every moment. Om Tad Vishnaho Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraiha Diviva Chakshu Atatam. God is the eye in the sky. Just as the sun is in the sky shining down, so the eye of God is everywhere, looking at everyone at every moment. So as long as we think I am the seer and reality is seen by me, then we never see reality, we see Maya. And as soon as we accept No, the eye of God is always on me. He is the seer and I am seen. Then by his mercy, he can reveal himself. So this is the moment. Hiranyakashipu said, is he in this pillar? Prahlad Maharaj, who was completely surrendered, because the merciful glance of the Lord was on him, he could see him. But Hiranyakashipu was thinking, I am the seer, and he was trying to look. He was trying to look at the pillar and see, what is he talking about? He's saying the Lord's in this pillar. Where is he? I can't see him. So this is called Dridvit Drashya Vichar. This is the difference. This makes the difference between the material mentality and the spiritual mentality. In fact, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur said, this makes the difference between understanding who is rendering Uttam Bhakti, who is practicing pure Bhakti, who is surrendered, and who is Trinada Pisunichena. They all correspond to this one thing, just the attitude. I am the seer or I am the seen. When one adopts the attitude, the disposition, the eye of God is on me at all times and I cannot see. Only he sees me and I may realize something only by his mercy. Then that is considered to be the stage of Trinada Pisunichena. That is the stage of Sharanagati, being surrendered. That is the stage where Uttam Bhakti begins. So, is he in this pillar? Yes. Then Hiranyakashipu took a sword and he said, well, let me see him save you now when I sever your head from your body. And with that, his fist, he punched the pillar and then he turned his back to the pillar and began to walk towards Prahlad to execute him. So just then, as he raised his sword, there was a tremendous roar. Shri Narasimha Bhagavan ki jai. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlad Dhar Daine. Hiranyakashipu Raksaha. Ashilatan Kalaye. Uton Singha Paraton Singha. Yato Yato Yamitato Singha. Vahin Singho Hidayen Singho. Narasimha Madim Sharanam Prapade. Tava Kara Kamala Vahinaka Aruta Singha Adalita Hiranyakashipu Thanumunda Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha Tava Kara Kamala Vahinaka Aruta Singha Adalita Hiranyakashipu Thanumunda Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha Jai Jagadisha Jaya Nrsimha Dev Jaya Nrsimha Dev Nrsimha Dev Jaya Nrsimha Dev Shri Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki Satyam Vidatum Nija Britta Bhasitam. Satyam Vidatum Nija Britta Bhasitam. So at that moment, in order to keep true, Satyam Vidatum, to keep true the words, Nija Britta Bhasitam, the words of his own pure devotee, then the Supreme Lord appeared in a form half man, half lion. He was roaring. He was shining like a million suns. And when Hiranyakashipu saw him, then he thought, I am invincible. I have nothing to worry about. And with his weapons, he flew towards Hiranyakashipu just like a mosquito flying into a fire. So then the two of them began to fight. And sometimes Lord Nrsimhadev would catch Hiranyakashipu, and all the demigods in the sky would say, Jai, Jai!
Jai, Jai!
But then Hiranyakashipu would slip out from the grip of Lord Nrsimhadev, and all the demigods would say, alas, alas, hi, hi!
Hi!
And Indra and other demigods were praying, kill him quickly, kill him quickly. And Hiranyakashipu was all puffed up when he escaped. He thought, oh, I wrestled myself free from his grip. But actually Lord Nrsimha said, let him go, because he wanted to play, just like Garuda plays with a snake. So then, Lord Nrsimhadev had appeared, Satyam Vidatam Nija Britya Bhasitam, to keep true the word of his devotee. What does that mean? It means that when Prahlad was in the womb of his mother prayed to Narad Muni. He said, oh, please bless me that my son will not be hurt by any enemies. And Narad Muni said, Tatastu. So in order to keep the words Nija Pritya Bhasita, means in order to keep the words of his servant Narad Muni true, because of that blessing, Lord Nrsimhadev appeared. And in order to keep the words true of his devotee, who? Brahma, Lord Brahma. Because he gave the benediction, you will not be killed by anyone created by me, and not by any animal or any human being. So he's half animal, half human being. Also, to keep the words true of Prahlad. Because Hiranyakashipu said, is he in this pillar? And Prahlad Maharaj said, yes, he's there. And so the Lord appeared half man, half lion from the pillar to protect Prahlad Maharaj. And this is called Satyam Vidatam Nija Pritya Bhasitam, to keep true the words of three devotees, Brahma, Narad and Prahlad. So then, even though Lord Nrsimhadev was relishing the Veera Ras, the Ras of chivalry by fighting, because of some Hiranyakashipu may make some danger for Prahlad, so he gave up his own agenda. He put aside his own self-interest, and taking Hiranyakashipu on his lap, not inside the house or outside, but in the doorway, not in the day or night, but at the exact moment when the sun had just set, then the Lord Nrsimhadev, by his nails, not by any weapon, and the nail is neither dead or alive, right? Because the nail, it has no feeling, but it's still growing. So, keeping all the benedictions of Lord Brahma true, then Lord Nrsimhadev, by his nails, he burst open the abdomen of Hiranyakashipu, and he was just tearing him apart, because Lord Nrsimhadev was thinking that from these veins, a great devotee like Prahlad Maharaj came. Are there any more pure devotees in here? And he was just digging. He was just digging through the entrails of Lord Nrsimhadev, of Hiranyakashipu, looking for another pure devotee like Prahlad Maharaj. Let me see if there's anyone else in here. And he was throwing the entrails here and there. He ripped Hiranyakashipu into 10 parts and scattered the parts in 10 directions. And then he draped the entrails around his neck, and he was covered in blood and roaring ferociously. And at that time, Lord Nrsimhadev, then he went and he sat down on Hiranyakashipu's throne. This is most significant. Why? Because even though the world is seeing Hiranyakashipu as an evil demon, Lord Nrsimhadev knows, oh, the soul here is my devotee, because Jaya and Vijaya have become Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. He's my devotee. And even though Brahmanas, they gave a new, unused, a purified seat, Idam Asanam Om Narasimha, they offered a seat to Lord Nrsimhadev, but he didn't accept that. But rather, a seat which was not offered and which had been used, but it was used by his devotee. He sat down there. So Lord Nrsimhadev sitting on the throne of Hiranyakashipu is a profound expression of his love for his devotee. Because he's saying, I don't see you as the this covering of the gunas of Hiranyakashipu, but you are my devotee, and whatever belongs to my devotee is dear to me. And so he sat down on the asan, which was used and also not even offered, out of love. And Lord Nishingadev sat there, and he was roaring loudly, and all the demigods, they were terrified. And Lord Shiva said to Lord Brahma, "Oh, Brahmaji, you are his son. You should go and pacify the Lord with prayers." And Lord Brahma said, "You are Harihara. You are Harihara. You are half of his body. Why don't you go and pacify him with prayers?" Neither of them wanted to pacify him with prayers. So then they both agreed, well, let's send someone to call Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi's wife should come and calm him down. Right? So then they sent a messenger, and Lakshmi Devi said, "Oh, please come and speak to your husband." So then Lakshmi Devi, she put on all her ornaments and very nice makeup, and she covered her face with a veil. And then from Vaikuntha she came there, and she entered into the palace, and she walked in and she removed her veil a little bit and looked towards the Lord with the twinkling eyes. And Lord Nishingadev just said, and Lakshmi Devi was terrified, and she ran out of the palace. Said, "Oh, I've never seen my husband in such angry mood before." And even Lakshmi Devi ran away. So even though Lakshmi Devi said, "I have never seen my husband in such an angry mood," but this pastime happens again and again in the days of Lord Brahma. And even though Lakshmi Devi, she sees Lord Nishingadev in this Nishinga Roop, in Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world, but Yoga Maya covered her over as if she's seen Narayan but never seen him like this before, in order for her to experience Adbhut Rasa, the rasa of astonishment. So then everything had failed. So Brahma and Shiva and other demigods, they asked Prahlad, "Can you please go and pacify Lord Nishingadev?" Prahlad Maharaj had no fear whatsoever, and skipping very happily, he skipped along to Lord Nishingadev, gave pranam, and he stood up with folded hands. And Lord Nishingadev, just as a lioness is ferocious to everyone else, but she's very affectionate to the cub. So Lord Nishingadev picked up Prahlad Maharaj, took him in his lap, and was stroking his forehead. And this is called a Pashu Sneha Lila. Pashu Sneha. Sneha means affection, and Pashu means animal. It's the Lila of Pashu Sneha Lila, the animal affection. Because if you have a pet dog or something and they love you, then they lick your face. So Lord Nishingadev was licking Prahlad Maharaj. This is a Pashu Sneha Lila. And he felt so much love for Lord Nishingadev, for Prahlad Maharaj, and Prahlad Maharaj also for Lord Nishingadev. Prahlad Maharaj, he said, "Oh my Lord, I am not a poet." Because they told him, "Go and offer some prayers to pacify the Lord." He said, "I'm not a poet like Lord Brahma or like Brihaspati, the guru of the demigods. In fact, I've taken birth in a demon family. But I know that you were pleased even by the prayers of Gajendra, who was an elephant. And so I know that you will just accept the essence of the mood of my prayers. Baba Grahi Janardana. You accept my mood." So Lord Prahlad Maharaj, he began to pray to Lord Nishingadev. Can we hear just one or two prayers? I know it's getting a little late, but so beautiful. I just want to touch one or two prayers. Prahlad Maharaj said, "Don't forget this." He said, Naivatmana Prabhurai Nijalabha Purno Manam Janada Bidusha Karano Brinite Yad Jano Bhagavate Vidadita Manam Tats Chapmane Pratimukasya Tamukasri. Oh my Lord, Naivatmana, it is not for yourself. The service, the honor, the offerings that devotees make to you, it's not for you. Naivatmana, it is not for yourself. Why? Nijalabha Purna, you are complete. You don't, my Lord, you don't try to get something from your devotees for yourself, because you're already complete in yourself. And therefore, this is important because, some people think, God, why do you have to worship God? I don't want to worship God. What kind of person is God that tells everyone to worship him? Isn't that kind of narcissistic? What kind of person is God that he tells everyone we have to serve him? Is he some kind of tyrant? Some tyrannical person who just likes to be surrounded by sycophants? No, Prahlad Maharaj said, don't think like this. Rather, naivat mana prabhur ayam nijalabhapuna. The Lord does not accept our offerings because he wants to get something for himself. He is self-satisfied. But you should think that when the Lord accepts our offerings and our glorification, that is the karana praniti, he accepts them out of kindness. He accepts our service and our offerings out of compassion for us. Why? Because there's such a relation between Atma, the soul, and the Supreme Lord. It is like the relationship tatchatmane pratimukasya yatha mukasri. It is like the relationship between your face and your reflection in a mirror. If you decorate your face, then your reflection in the mirror becomes beautiful. So in the same way, the more a devotee glorifies the Lord, decorates the Lord with flowers, it's the devotee who becomes more and more beautiful. The more we try to beautify Krishna, the more we try to glorify Krishna, the more beautiful we become and the more glorious we become. And therefore, it's just out of pure mercy that the Lord accepts service from his devotees. It's a mercy to the devotees. Very beautiful prayer. And then Prahlad Maharaj, he said, Evam janam nipatitam prabhava hikupe kama bikanam anuya prapatan prasangat kritvatma sat surashina bhagavan grihita soyam katamnu visvijay tavabritya sevam. Oh Lord Nrsimhadev, the people of this world have so many desires, one desire after another. And I was following them. I was also following my desires one after another. And where does it lead? It leads one to fall into a deep well full of poisonous snakes. Only trouble. This was my situation. But then what happened? Kritvat masat surashina bhagavan grihita. Your devotee, Narad Muni, came and he saw me and he was so kind. And he said, oh my Lord, let this jiva be mine. And by his desire, he made me a part of himself. This is the meaning. Kritvatmasat. Surashina means, Surashi is Devarshi Surashi Narad. Narad Muni. So Surashina, by Narad Muni, Kritvatmasat, he made me a part of himself. And so that is the fact that Sri Guru is the, from Krishna comes Radharani, from Radharani comes the Sakhis. And then each Guru in our parampara is the expansion of the bhav of the previous Guru, like this. And when we surrender to our spiritual master, then he prays, oh Krishna, let this jiva be mine. And then a bhav descends and we become the expansion of the bhav of our Guru. Like this. This is called Kritvatmasat. Shakti buddhi heen amiyati deen koramore atmasat. Atmasat. It means when the disciple thinks, I have no independence. My soul belongs to Guru. I have no separate desire from Sri Guru. Let me become a part of the ecstatic mood of my Sri Guru. And when Guru's mercy envelops us and brings us into his own eternal existence, that is called Atmasat. That is called Atmasat. So Prahlad Maharaj said, oh my Lord, I was just wandering in this material world, going in a deep well of snakes and suffering, following the general populace. But your devotee, Narad Muni, came and made me a part of himself by his mercy. So I don't want anything. All I want to do is serve him. Oh my Lord, how could I ever give up the service of Guru? It's impossible. So the Lord Nrsimhadev was so pleased with these prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj also said, Chanak kalau samabhavas triyugam tasatvam. Oh my Lord, you appear among the fish, among the tortoise, among the animals like Varahadev, and you also appear Your name is Triyuga because in Kali Yuga you appear in a Channa avatar, a covered incarnation. So Prahlad Maharaj even glorified Gauranga Mahaprabhu to Lord Nrsimhadev. And finally, Lord Nrsimhadev, he said, I am so pleased by your service and prayers. I want to give you a benediction. So please pray to me for a benediction. And Prahlad Maharaj, he said, oh my Lord, please give me this benediction. First he said, oh my Lord, I am not a businessman. I am not a merchant that I was serving you to get something in return. I don't want any benediction. I only want to please you. Lord Nrsimhadev said, I'll be very pleased if you ask for a benediction. So please ask for a benediction. Prahlad Maharaj said, then give me this benediction that in the core of my heart, there will be no material desires. Everyone pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. Oh Lord Nrsimhadev, in the core of my heart, may there be no material desires. Lord Nrsimhadev said, oh, you are very tricky. You are trying to get out of asking for a benediction because already there are no material desires in your heart. You should ask again. So then Prahlad Maharaj said, give me this benediction that my father, who tried to commit so many atrocities against me, that he should not suffer on my behalf. Lord Nrsimhadev said, your father is already liberated because you are a pure devotee. And if there is a pure devotee, then 21 generations are liberated. So Prahlad doesn't even have 21 generations because his father is Hiranyakashipu and his father is Kasyapa and his father, it goes back up to Brahma, just a couple of generations. And then the universe begins because it's Satya Yuga, so it doesn't even have 24 generations. So Jiva Goswami Pad said, that means that in the previous day of Lord Brahma, his ancestors from the previous creation, they were liberated by his bhakti. Srila Jiva Goswami Pad said. So then Lord Nrsimhadev said, so no, your father is already saved. Again, ask for a benediction. So Prahlad Maharaj said, please give me this benediction. I see that all the jivas, so many jivas in this world, they're suffering the reactions of their karma. Please give me all their karmic reactions. Let me suffer and let them all be liberated. Lord Nrsimhadev, tears came in his eyes. He said, oh Prahlad, you have defeated me. You have defeated me. This I cannot do. I cannot put you in suffering on behalf of all others. But I will give you this benediction, that if anyone will hear the narration, the katha of our pastimes together, simply by hearing that, they'll develop pure bhakti and ultimately attain Krishna Prem. I give this benediction. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki Jai. So we are most fortunate today to pass this time fasting the whole day to propitiate the mercy of Lord Nrsimhadev, and then hearing the powerful teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. Srila Gurudev, after telling this pastime, he used to say, from this pastime take this. That Prahlad Maharaj, he had to face many, many difficulties and challenges in his life, but he never gave up hearing, chanting and remembering. So try to be like Prahlad Maharaj, and in the midst of all challenges and difficulties in life, always chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev, Nrsimhadev, Jaya Nrsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha. Shri Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki Jai, Bhakti Maharaj ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.